X-Men. Get it!
Hey, brother, and welcome to another exciting episode of Battle of the Atom. This is your weekly X-Men podcast where we rank every story from an A to Z.
And I'm Adam.
And I'll tell you what, Adam, I am Zach Jenkins, the bad boy. I'm the bad boy of X-Men podcast.
Are you ready to rumble, Zach? Because we got some royal fighting to do this evening. Yes,
you sound like Patchy the Pirate from the opening of SpongeBob SquarePants right there. With "Are you ready, kids?"
Well, are you?
I was going to say, everyone, welcome to Battle of the Atom. We're in our Attitude Era, if you can't tell.
Yeah, it's not our pirate era, but Boatitude continues. And
still not calling it that. I'm still not doing that.
That's
I understand.
okay.
And what is this? This is episode 302. Brother, we got to spell before we're dropping this bit.
No, the Attitude Era continues for quite a long time. We got a couple months of Attitude.
We've been clear on this podcast that I don't actually watch wrestling, and neither do you, right?
Well, I mean, I'm clearly trying to do a wrestling voice and sound like a pirate. So how well do you think I'm doing here?
There 400% has been a pirate wrestler. I know there is an anxious millennial cowboy wrestler.
Yeah.
There is a wrestler with a bad neck tattoo. There is the Ones is something that I've understand. Logan Paul is a wrestler, I guess.
Apparently. WrestleMania level, apparently. Wow.
Look, Snoop Dogg also was at WrestleMania level in a match I did watch.
Did a body slam. Skinny Snoop.
Because Vince McMahon's terrible son. Here's the thing about Vince McMahon.
Awful person.
Abraham Josie Reisman just put out a great biography about Vince McMahon. If you want to learn anything about the attitudes that he particularly had in his eras. But his son also is a putz and a wrestler, and my understanding is that Snoop Dogg saved the show from the fact that Vince's son had a shoot injury.
Yes.
Moments after walking in, which I hope him a speedy recovery because no one should have to deal with knee stuff, but from, tragedy plus time.
We do have some real wrestling that takes place. This is not a wrestling theme episode.
Not even a little bit. We struggled the last time we did one of those.
Yeah, but
we're just doing our Attitude Era.
There are some real fights in this one, in this episode. And who do we have to thank for this? We didn't even say what the theme was. This is a rogue themed episode, Zach.
Oh man, I should do a Southern accent, except for the last time I did a deep Southern accent. And listen, I don't shout out to the haters on this podcast that frequently, even though I am the bad boy of X-Men podcasting. I will say that my Southern accent in one episode did get me the longest letter I've ever received in my time as a semi-public figure.
I don't think you did the accent. I think I did the accent.
No, Adam, I can tell you it was explicitly me. Okay. And it was explicitly about how I wasn't really from Kentucky. So I wasn't really allowed to do that accent because...
Well, hey, we're adults. And
I do want to be clear. My birth certificate, the legal document that I have does say KY on it, and I have to put it on a lot of forms.
I just writing KY on everything, Zach.
Listen, I spread it on. I don't use Vaseline, that's for sure.
Who do we have to thank for this rogue episode?
It's Robert. Robert, the best. Robert. Thank you so much, Robert. If you want to be like Robert, patreon.com/comicsxf has everything you need. And by everything you need, I mean a form to put in your credit card information.
Yeah.
We'll do it. We'll do an episode. It's $5 US.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how much $5 US is?
In the greater global economy, not very much. And
in the If we're
Okay,
taking a macro
okay.
scale, yes.
In American inflation economy, not that much. How's that? I mean, you could buy some meals for people across the globe.
Okay,
Like,
so
spend your charitable dollars appropriately.
well, when you're saying an American inflation economy, I want to unpack that for a second because, in general, it has not been an American inflation that's been hitting. It has been general global inflation that's been hitting, conflated by issues such as the unjust invasion of Ukraine by Russia, which has screwed up the energy markets. As we are coming off of a global pandemic that had huge issues on both shipping and actually an increase in demand in general, which shot up prices. And the US, in aggregate, has managed inflation better than most countries.
Oh, sure. But, you know, not exactly that great on those living wages for people either. So,
I'm
you
not
know,
saying, no, Adam, I am not saying the US is a great and perfect shining city on a hill. I'm just saying that if you look at the inflation rate numbers, the US has managed better than others has. Do you think our listeners want Zach's economics opinions?
honestly, I don't. So, and I love you,
I don't
buddy, but
either.
I just want to talk about Rogue.
Part of me thinks that we cut out that entire section and we add it
No, no,
as a teaser at
Zach,
the end.
this is the attitude, boatitude era. We do what we want. And
I'm gonna be like that wrestler that gave PowerPoints. That's gonna be me right now.
that's right. Show those
I'm
pie
wrestler who
graphs.
gave PowerPoints. I'll say that. We're talking about Rogue. And specifically, we're talking about the times when Rogue had a lot of attitude, Sugar.
Yeah, early Rogue.
This is Rogue before she joined the X-Men, which, if you, like, let's be honest, like every X-Men reader, only read X-Men, you only know of, like, one story and one Avengers story that you know is her first appearance, which is Infamous. And we're not talking about that because, let's be honest, everything's been said about that comic that needs to be said, and I didn't want to add it. I didn't want to put it on the list.
Yeah, so all these stories are post Avengers Annual number 10, and we're going to start with Uncanny X-Men number 158. Chris Claremont, Dave Cockrum, Bob Wyacek, Joe Rosen, and Glynis Wine on those colors. And this is in the Octopusheim era.
I think people, it's not that people don't remember that Dave Cockrum came back to the X-Men, because of course they remember that Dave Cockrum came back to the X-Men. But there's definitely a beat during the Cockrum era where Claremont's saying, okay, now what? Like,
Yeah.
I don't have Byrne
Mhm.
anymore, who's influencing things. So I'm unfiltered Claremont. I've got the world in my hand. What do I do with this? And he does something. He's like, okay, Dave, you love the Starjammers. Let's do some Starjammers stuff. Let's go. Where you get the Starjammer stuff, you get the lead up into things like
The Brood Saga.
the Brood Saga.
Right.
But
Yeah,
it does feel like for these like 20-ish issues where it's mostly Cockrum with some fill-ins, that maybe Claremont doesn't fully know what he wants to do next.
I think that's okay because this issue in particular feels very akin to some of the writing he does on other Marvel books. Because
Yes.
we're really seeing a variety of vignettes. And I think if you were to actually pin down who the protagonist of this particular issue is, it's not the X-Men. It's actually Captain Marvel.
It's the X-Men's best friend, Carol Danvers.
Yeah, Carol Danvers is hanging out on Octopusheim, beating the crap out of some of the Starjammers. It takes like 4 of them to pin her down because apparently, despite not having her power, she still does have some power. So her and a group of the X-Men go to the Pentagon, and there, while they are undercover, they accidentally bump into who else?
It's Rogue.
It's Rogue.
They have not met Rogue but one time. In
Mhm.
fact, Rogue has only appeared in one other issue, in Avengers Annual number 10. So there's not like a lot of Rogue yet. In this, she's kind of just a bad guy.
Yeah, Rogue is dressed in a green blouse, green scarf, and a wonderful ankle-length green checkered skirt. And she's just wreaking mayhem, man. She's kissing people, punching people. She's taken all three of Captain Marvel, Storm, Wolverine, doesn't matter. She's kicking the crap out of everybody.
She's winning, and love that for her.
Yeah, she's sassy.
Yeah, she's sassy. And the reason the X-Men are at the Pentagon is because Senator Robert Kelly, who is described in this comic as like, hey, Senator Kelly, you're like socially very progressive. Why do you hate mutants?
Because they're outlaws and they're causing millions of dollars of property damage.
So I think it's what Claremont's getting at here is actually something that you see in the real world, where you have, let's say, very progressive, quote unquote, feminists who are not so progressive in the ways that they handle other things like trans rights. You saw that with civil rights people who, all for that, but would not stand up for gay rights. Like this is a common thing of, where do you draw the line of that's enough for me? And it happens. And it's interesting that Claremont's playing with that. I don't think it really goes anywhere in here. I mean, and I think in Claremont's conception, like in his mind, Kelly is at heart a guy who can be redeemed, which is why Claremont sets him up as a hero by the time he kills him off at Dream's End. But like Kelly's still like a bad guy who does make Sentinels.
Absolutely. But the X-Men are not the only one at the Pentagon with their own agenda.
They want to do something about Senator Kelly. They like erase some tapes.
Yes, but Rogue is not the only villain here. Raven Darkholm is also in the building, and Mystique is here.
Yes, you just said Mystique's name twice.
I did, but it is interesting that this episode sets Raven Darkholm up as her alter ego in the Pentagon. So it is her real name, but she's actually also using it as an alias. It's weird.
It is weird, though. I would say that that was you remember we talked about the Ms. Marvel stuff, the dropped Chris Claremont Ms. Marvel plot.
Yes.
Like a year. Yeah, it's all coming from that stuff. So Claremont was moving with this, and then didn't do anything with it.
That's okay.
But it has some interesting. I mean, listen. Chris Claremont, improviser sometimes.
Always.
Sometimes Jim Shooter says, actually, you have to kill your main character, and you have 5 pages. And then it's the greatest comic. So, listen, guy's pretty decent on his feet. But, Mystique's there, Rogue's there. They're trying to do some Brotherhood of Mutants stuff. The X-Men try and stop them. Carol Danvers saves the day and says, actually, you know what? Screw these guys. I am a hero, actually. I don't need powers to be the best. And I like that Claremont affirms that, like, because he does this with Storm, too, later. She can be a hero without powers. Like, what makes Carol Danvers is not that she got blasted by the psychomagnetron machine.
Right.
It's that she's a real tough fighter pilot lady, which is Claremont's favorite thing.
But in the end of this particular issue, Carol Danvers walks in and erases her own records from the Pentagon. So
don't worry, the Pentagon will get those back at some point.
I am sure. So that's pretty much what happens here. It's a lot of fun. But it's a fist fight in the Pentagon for the good 2/3 of the issue. And Cockrum's doing a nice job. It's just a fun little romp with the X-Men.
This is a fun story. It's not even the best stuff around here more than anything else. Like,
yeah, the very next issue is Dracula. Like, that's already better than this.
And the issue before that is like the Brood, the initial Brood stuff with the Starjammers. That's a lot of fun. Like, it's hard. Listen, these are tough comps. Do you think, is Rogue interesting in this if you didn't know that she becomes Rogue, the X-Men's friend?
Rogue is going to be more fun in the other 2 stories that we're going to talk about today. Here, it's very much still we're building a villain, and there's not much to her.
Yeah, she's just another villain. Yep. And that's fine. I mean, her name is Rogue. Hold on. Her name is just like look at this rogue right here. Like, this is, her name's bad guy.
Yeah. Yep. So
She is bad guy. That's all she is here. And that's fine. Do you know what I do like about this issue?
Oh, what's that?
The scene where Cyclops shows up and visits Havoc, and he's like, "Hey, Havoc, you remember that really big trauma we had where we had to jump out of an airplane and I got a head injury and you got sent off to some parents in Hawaii?
And, we lost our parents. Well, hey, guess what?
Dad's alive. Hey, Dad's back. I don't know how to explain. Dad was in space hooking up with a skunk. Like, Mom is still very dead. Gotta be clear. Dad's back and he has a new girlfriend. She's a skunk."
Yeah. The caption on the next page reads, "Reactions are many and varied. Not all of them pleasant." That's great.
You know what? Honestly, I feel like if they were going to do that X-Men Legends book anymore, which they're not, I would kind of have liked Claremont to do that scene. Like, what are those varied and somewhat unpleasant reactions? Because I feel like he can hit that when he wants. So you remember that Uncanny X-Men, the Exterminated Cable story?
Yeah.
That they did when Corsair's like, "Hey, Cyclops, I was kind of a crappy dad sometimes. That's on me, but you really like your son." Corsair was only a crappy dad because he was very mad and stuck in outer space. Like,
I mean, yeah,
I think
I would be angry too. It's not a good sitch. I think he pretty much just assumed that his kids were dead.
Or by year 5, it's like, man, it's going to be really traumatic for these kids. If I come back, how do I explain aliens to them? And then it was too late. And he was like, well, this is a freebie. That's my son in space with me.
Yep.
I love Corsair. I love him so much.
We should rank this one on our big old list, Zach.
We do rank things. That's the thing about this big old list that we're doing. Because, Adam, I don't know if you know this. In fact, no, I know you know this. I don't know if our listeners know this. Do you know we're on the road again?
I know, to 800. Wow.
We are on the road to 800 because, folks, we have 780 X-Men stories on our list, ranked from best to worst. Number 1 being the House of X, Powers of 10. Number 100 being Wolverine 48 to 50, the Shiva scenario. Number 200 being All New Wolverine Enemy of the State 2. Number 300 being Generations Phoenix and Jean Grey with that good RB Silva art. I was thinking about RB Silva right now being wasted on that Captain America book, and it's not that, like, I don't want to see RB Silva drawing Captain America because he's doing his darndest. I just am baffled that there's a Captain America crossover that's all about nostalgia for the Rick Remender Marvel Now series.
Yeah. Just bring RB back to the X-Men, please.
No, I mean, have RB have a very successful create her own book. That's what I want for RB Silva. I would love to see RB Silva X-Men. I would love RB Silva to have equity.
Yes. Get that man the money.
Number 400 is X-Men Evolutions 1 through 6. Number 500 is the G Nation plus Rogue and Iceman stuff. Listen, that part of X-Men gets confusing in what is a story and what isn't. Number 600 is Excalibur Volume 2. Number 700 is X-Patrol. And number 780 is 2099, The World of Tomorrow. The worst X-Men story that has ever been written.
Easily. So down at 205, we have the issue that comes immediately after this, which is the issue where Dracula...
The Dracula one?
Yeah, that Dracula one where
That's better.
Dracula turns Storm into a vampire, and that is better than this for sure.
That's better. At 331 we have I Magneto, which is Uncanny X-Men 148 to 150. That's better than this.
I would agree. I think that is better as well. Working my way down. This is
better than Truth or Death. This is better than New Mutants Truth or Death at 364.
Okay, so better or worse than at 350, Uncanny X-Men 300, Zach?
Listen, Amazing Spider-Man aside, I like some John Romita Jr. art.
Okay, all right. So
by the way,
we're gonna get into this. You really want to get?
We're not getting into it. But best character in the world, Paul, did show up on the Marvel Wikia page as I was just looking at the credits for Uncanny X-Men 158. For some reason on Tuesday, the day, or not Tuesday, Wednesday, the day that Amazing Spider-Man 26 came out. For some reason, Paul, parenthesis, Mary Jane Watson's boyfriend, close parenthesis, Earth 616, parenthesis, is the most popular page of the Marvel Wiki right now. I don't know why.
That's because
everyone loves Paul.
No one loves Paul. Everyone is reading Amazing Spider-Man 26 and has no idea what is going on. So they're going to the wiki to figure that out.
Listen, I love Paul because Paul makes Spider-Man fans unhappy. All I'm saying is that I think it's very funny that the Marvel Wiki calls him Paul, parenthesis, Mary Jane Watson's boyfriend.
I mean, it's just, he's only got the one name, right? So
no, he has a last name now. Okay. As of Amazing Spider-Man 26. And it's dumb, but it's whatever. We're not getting into it. That's like the third most dumb thing about that comic.
All right, better or worse than X-Men Volume 2, 31 to 32, Soul Possessions?
Better than Soul Possessions.
Better than Soul Possessions. Better than the Necrosha arc of New Mutants Volume 3?
Speaking of Zeb Wells, I don't like that arc that much. You know that. What do you think? I think this is better than that.
I think this is better than that, too.
I don't think Zeb will be upset about that.
No, but I don't think this is as good as Uncanny 204, What Happened to Nightcrawler.
It's not better than What Happened to Nightcrawler, even by a little bit. But between those two stories is Uncanny X-Men 287 to 290. You know what that is, don't you, Adam?
I don't remember. What is that? That is,
buddy, that's Bishop's Crossing.
Yeah, is it is it Bishop's Crossing?
Buddy, that's Bishop's Crossing.
I'm putting that on here because
is it Bishop's Crossing? No,
I feel like it's the stuff after that.
It's the stuff right after Bishop's Crossing. I'm sorry. It is the death of Malcolm and Randall. I always forget that there's an arc between Malcolm and Randall show up and Malcolm and Randall die.
It's like the final Portaccio run, which I think this
is super messy.
It is. This
is so better messy. Than that. This is better than that.
353.
Let's make it 353.
Great.
Whiffs, this is not about you. We historically think you are great. Is he a friend of the pod? I feel like he's a friend of the pod.
Wills has been on the show as a New York Comic Con guest. So yes, Wills is a friend of the show.
Here's the thing. That episode was like 4 years ago, and I forgot if it was Wills or Silvestri.
What?
And listen.
No, I haven't had the honor yet. I tried.
All I know is that on some other X-Men podcast, which shall not be named, I did get to hear Jonathan Hickman agree that Mark Silvestri is very hot.
Very hot?
So, oh yeah.
Like as an individual or as an artist or just as a human?
All.
Interesting. Okay.
I mean, listen, for a guy in his 60s, Silvestri, I can respect it. I can respect game recognized game.
Look, great artist. And if you like height, he's your guy. He's a very tall man. Very tall man. All right. So we have gone to Rogue's second appearance, but Rogue does appear elsewhere in the Marvel universe aside from
on that same day.
Aside from just in X-Men. Really? This came out the same day?
Yes, Adam. I tell you the truth. ROM SpaceKnight. The greatest of the Spaceknights.
We got to talk about us predicting the future.
Us making a joke about ROM SpaceKnight and how Hasbro just needs to buckle up and let Marvel reprint ROM SpaceKnight. That episode coming out the day that the email comes out said, by the way, we're reprinting ROM SpaceKnight, guys. Yeah. We figured out, and we're doing Micronauts too. And I'm like, great. I do only want to read one of those.
Yeah, I don't want to read the Micronauts, but
I like Bug because he was in Guardians of the Galaxy. That's it.
Yeah, but I mean, I know you're not an omnibus collector, but I do know that if you were going to only buy one omnibus, it would be the Romnibus.
Listen, the Romnibus is something that I'm sitting here like, man, when In Stock Trades gets the Romnibus going at like a 66% discount, I'm grabbing a Romnibus for myself.
What I love about the Romnibus is that it only has like the first third of ROM, so that means there's at least going to be 3 ROM to buy.
But there's going to be triples of the ROM to buy. That's what's safe. That's what's best.
That's what's safe. Triples are safe. Okay. So we are going to ROM SpaceKnight numbers
31 and 32.
31 and 32.
31 comes out the same day as that Uncanny issue.
unbelievable. Unbelievable. We have a familiar foe here to listeners of the show who have heard us talk about ROM before. Who is the villain of this story, Zach?
It's Hybrid. It's a dire wraith half kid. He's evil. He lives in West Virginia. It's a whole thing. He got
Yeah.
exploded the last time that he
Mhm.
was there, thanks to Kitty Pryde on accident. So you would expect not to see Hybrid again.
He back. He was floating around on the wind, and then
This
he just
isn't
like,
even the last time Hybrid's going to be in an X-Men related book. He's an X-Man at some point.
it's crazy. It's crazy. So he makes his return with some this dork named the Torpedo.
I know nothing about the Torpedo.
I don't know. He's got a funky costume.
Is the Torpedo a ROM exclusive character? No, he's from Daredevil.
He does. He has a Daredevil villain costume. He really does.
He's from Marv Wolfman Daredevil.
Love it.
Could he just not use Bullet? Is that what happened?
I don't know.
Marv, what are you doing?
So ROM accidentally stumbles into an unfortunate situation because the local popo
Yes.
are trying to transport the imprisoned members of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, including Blob, Pyro, and Destiny. They have this really cool vehicle that's made by Tony Stark that, if it stops abruptly, can actually like turn into a little spaceship and fly away. But it does look on this snowy night that the truck is going to run over a chain gang prisoner. ROM stops the truck, and the prisoners convince ROM that they are
slaves. Here's the thing. ACAB ally ROM the Space Knight, the greatest of the Space Knights.
He dumb.
He had me going for a bit. He had me thinking, oh, dang, is Bill Mantlo actually like about to get into how the prison industrial complex is akin to modern slavery in the United States?
Nope.
And the answer is no, he's not getting into that. And ROM is very annoyed when he's like, actually, wait, you guys are being treated exactly like slaves, but you're just prisoners? Oh, man, I'm a fool. I got tricked. I thought for a second Bill Mantlo was about to like really change my perception of him as a creator.
Absolutely not. So
Sal Buscema is also drawing this, by the way.
Yes, the fun begins once the Avalanche is also in prison, but Avalanche appeared in the Hulk and got his arms messed up. So they're in
two broken arms.
Waiting for them are the Warden and the prison shrink, I guess, who turn out to be Mystique and Rogue.
Great sneaking around by Mystique and Rogue, honestly.
Really great. Also great is that after they escape and encounter Hybrid, who just happens to be there, and encounter ROM, the Brotherhood suddenly becomes a sisterhood.
Yeah, the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, Destiny, Mystique, Rogue, Blob, Avalanche, Pyro, they realize that, wait, okay, who rules here? Well, let's see. We got Destiny. Great. Mystique. Great. Rogue. Great. Do we need these dudes around? What are they doing? And listen, again, cannot emphasize enough. Gentleman with framed photo or framed drawing of Blob, Freddie Dukes by Josh Cassara in his tiki bar getup. Fan of the Blob. I understand in 1982 why Rogue and Mystique and Destiny would say we're the good ones, right? Like we're the cool characters.
Yeah, it's totally understandable. ROM kicked the crap out of the other three guys. So what are they going to do? They're going to stand around? No. They're going to fly off and find an abandoned mansion to hide out in. And who's waiting for them but the disgusting Hybrid?
It's a whole thing. They then double cross everybody. They form an alliance with Hybrid and an alliance with Rob, and they split this around, and they don't know what's going on. And then eventually, Destiny, Mystique, and Rogue are like, actually, wait, Hybrid wants to use us as broodmares. We don't want to do that.
This is the very unfortunate part of bringing Hybrid back, is that the very same premise of the Hybrid wanting to like mate with
Impregnate the
female
world.
mutants to create a new race. It's still here. So
Bill Mantlo would do that plot more than 3 times. It's too many, Bill.
Yeah, Mystique somehow reads Hybrid's mind and finds this out. It's a weird scene.
I'm not getting into why, because I don't fully understand. Again, not read all of ROM SpaceKnight. Have almost read every appearance of Hybrid.
I'm pretty sure I know why. I think it's just because they have to tell Hybrid's backstory and need a convenient way to do it. So
maybe Hybrid's using his telepathy that he has?
Sure.
Maybe he's just bad at it. I'm noticing in this book, like, a lot of people are bad at their jobs. If Rom's the greatest of the Space Knights, which is true, then he is kind of dumb also, because he does a lot of dumb stuff in this, like trusting everybody. But there is a cool part where Rogue, like, touches him, and assuming, because he looks like Rom the Space Knight, which if you don't know what Rom the Space Knight looks like, imagine an action figure robot from the early 80s. And that's it.
Yeah.
It's exactly that.
He's a walking, talking toaster.
Rogue touches him, assuming that's his armor. And oops, wouldn't you know it? It's his skin now.
He's a dude. And they kind of fall in love a little bit. Like,
the thing about this, which in Rogue's publication history kind of makes sense. Rogue realizes that maybe being evil isn't her only option because of Rom the Space Knight.
Yes. The whole reason
I love that
Rogue ends up on the X-Men is because she kisses Rom the Space Knight. It's amazing.
Love everything about that.
Yes.
Rom, greatest of the Space Knights for that alone.
Yeah. So Rogue does end up touching Hybrid after after Mystique distracts Hybrid, and Rom is able to basically disintegrate Hybrid, I guess, again. Sure.
It sticks just as well this time, is my understanding.
But if you are a fan of the Brotherhood or the Sisterhood, this is kind of an important 2-issue arc, because it has ramifications for Rogue. It has ramifications for these characters and where they will appear next and going forward. So
I do honestly think that people should read this story, because it is a fun time. I enjoy it a lot. Like, it's good. Now, Rogue does not immediately then become good. She just has a bit of goodness inside her. Like, maybe my mom's, maybe they were lying to me a little bit when they said everyone was evil. Maybe not everyone's evil.
She's having, a little crisis of faith here, but continues to villain for...
she's going to continue to villain because there is one person in particular that she hates and has to get her villainy out of her system before she can turn into Rogue, our friend.
So before we talk about that, we are going to rank this particular arc, and I think this was better than that issue of Uncanny we just talked about.
It is better than that issue of Uncanny we just talked about. How does it compare to the other issue we have of Rom the Space Knight? Oh, well, it's better than that because we have that issue in the 400s.
I think this is better than the first Hybrid arc by far.
It is.
This one makes less of a deal of the whole like broodmare thing, and that one is very much obsessed with like Kitty's gonna be the new, mother of the master race, and it's like I don't like reading this. This is creepy.
But the next time Hybrid appears is with the New Mutants, and I'm terrified of that one.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still going to read it, but it's like, Bill Mantlo. Do I want to? Do I really want to read that?
So I think we're in the same kind of general area, though. Like, I don't think this is better than Long Shot at 326.
No, it's not. It's not better than Bizarre Adventures 27 at 335.
I would agree. I don't know if it's... I would put this ahead of X-Force -1 at 338.
Would you? I like X-Force. That's got that Adam Paulina art.
No, I know. This is more fun, though. I don't think it's as good. I know. All right. So I know you like X-Force -1. Let's go down
that is, you're going into my sweet spot of the JFM Adam Paulina X-Force. But something that I know is flawed, but I love.
I would say I think this is more interesting than the John Byrne Savage Land arc below that at 339.
Adam, you're going to a place where I cannot follow you.
Oh, okay. Well, where do you want to go?
You are making wild statements here. And I'm saying that as a man who often makes wild statements.
All right. Well, we know it's above 353. So where do you
think this is better or worse than Marvel Team Up 100 with Karma and the Storm and Black Panther stuff?
Yes.
Okay. I think that's a fair statement.
I think this is better than all new X Factor 3 and 4 Stolen Island.
I mean, yeah, I'll say that. The Cy Spurrier X-Force, the last arc of that Omega, I think is more interesting than this.
Okay. All right. So it's going to be our new 343.
I mean, it's better than Lovelorn.
Yeah. All right. So we had 353 before. Now we have 343 for these two issues. And as Zach alluded to before, Rogue is not done tormenting a specific someone. And that is Dazzler.
Rogue hates Dazzler. That's just a thing. That's the next place she goes after ROM the SpaceKnight. And we've read and ranked those issues of Dazzler. That's in like 22. It's the stuff with the fire guy.
Yep.
Do you remember what was his name? Forgettable.
Blaze? Was it Blaze? It was something really dumb.
It was really dumb, even for fire-based code names, which are consistently the worst. Name one fire-based code name that's good. It's the Human Torch. Name two.
Pyro.
Even that.
Come on, Pyro's great.
No, we just like Pyro. That name's pretty.
That's a great name. He's a Pyro. He's a good fire control. I don't know. I like it.
I mean, because you got like Fire from DC, you got Firestorm, which is bad. Firestar, which is bad. Fire Fist over at Marvel, which is bad.
That's real bad.
Yeah. I mean, Inferno from the Inhumans. Do you remember him? No. That was a guy named Dante.
Okay, great.
Wasn't good.
Man, these ancient moon gods, they got interesting literary taste.
Oh, there was Match. No, he was one of the new. You know the new.
He was a humans. Terrigen
a new
bomb.
Human. Yeah, when Black Bolt yelled at Thanos and blew up a bomb, and then we got Ms. Marvel as a Inhuman, and now that's all caused chaos.
She'll be back. She'll be a mutant. Just waiting. It's happening.
Listen. This is my hard and fast rule. I will get into Paul all day long. I'm not touching the Kamala Khan stuff right now. Not after what they did to my girl.
All right.
There's too much. There's too much here. We're going to keep all of our thoughts on Paul.
So this is Dazzler 27 and 28, both with really amazing Bill Sienkiewicz covers.
Freaking Bill in this. Hey, do you remember the Bill Sienkiewicz covers of Dazzler? Do you remember around the time of Dark Phoenix, the movie was coming out?
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing an actual record sleeve of the record on the cover of Dazzler 29.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds of Light and Fury.
Yep.
I have no idea if that was actually a real thing. That was like a thing you could find or not. And I want to own it so bad.
I think that might have been like a limited edition promo, but there was no actual like recording inside, which, anyway. So at this point, Dazzler has gone on the run with her newly discovered sister. And
Lois London?
Lois believes that she has killed a man with her superpowers.
Which are, to be fair, her superpowers are to kill a guy.
It does seem that way, yes.
Her superpowers are, if I touch you, you die.
So this first issue begins with a nice, like, 2 or 3, at least two issue flashback of, like, at least the last year of Dazzler, which is great. And then we get this amazing sequence, which turns out to be a dream, but you don't know it at the time, where Dazzler is wearing a black curly wig and taps on the shoulder of the woman in front of her to say, "Excuse me, do you have the time?" To which the woman in front of her, wearing a green hood, says, "I sure do, honey. And the time is up." And it turns out to be Rogue. They fight. Dazzler ends up getting like her face melted into like some weird glob. It's really messed up.
It's a wild thing that artist and writer on this issue, Frank Springer, is doing.
Yeah, the bus flies over a cliff. I mean, it's messed up. So anyway, Dazzler wakes up screaming. They're still on the run, but they also realize, based on a note that they received with some incriminating photos, that they are being watched.
Yeah, she is being watched. And do you know who she's being watched by?
A guy that would love for these two ladies to go kill somebody. Who is that somebody, Zach?
Adam, honestly, I forgot about that part. Adam, this is just all on me. I read it over Memorial Day weekend, and I also did 12 plus hours of yard work on that Sunday. So I'm very tired and don't remember. Adam, there's a good, and these don't count because they were yard beers. There's a good 20 beers between when I read these issues and talking to you now, and I haven't drank for 2 days.
No judgment. We did take a week off, and we did relax in style. But
no, I only read them I read them like 3 or 4 days ago, Adam. I just did a lot of yard work and had a rack of PBR in my fridge.
But
Yard
they've
beers don't
basically
count.
been hired to kill their own father.
That's right.
So Angel does come to quote unquote the rescue, immediately gets shot. It's pretty great.
Warren Worthington.
What an idiot.
Dazzler thinks he's so hot. Honestly, you know what? They ain't doing anything right now. Have Dazzler and Warren hook back up. I'd like to see that.
That'd be fun. I like that quite a bit.
They would be the worst couple to like be around though. And that's saying something knowing all of both Dazzler and Angel's appearances.
Yeah. So it's a weird story in that the guy who hired them was like the detective the father hired to find them, and then I don't know. There's some like weird blackmail situation here. Anyway,
Frank Springer's the story's not super well written or coherent. Like the entire last issue was a dream sequence, and then this one is a different plot.
Yeah.
That Rogue is also in, and they fight her in the sisterhood.
So
that's the weird thing about this one, is that they also do this fight.
So 28 is Rogue really getting aggravated. She hates Dazzler. She's punching stuff in like the home gym. We learn that it's not Angel who comes to the rescue. It's actually Dazzler's friend Ken and his Ronald McDonald hair.
Freaking Ken. You know what? Where's Ken right now? Is Ken on Krakoa?
I don't know, but dude's a champ. He comes in.
Dazzler 28. This is the last appearance of Ken.
Oh, really? We never see Ken after this masterful moment of heroics?
I don't know. I kind of hope that Ken is like Paul's lawyer during Mary Jane and Paul's whatever proceedings.
That'd be great.
Because there's some litigation. Bring back Ken, honestly.
So as all of this gets sorted out, Dazzler, her sister, Ken, and their father are driving back to the father's mansion, and Rogue attacks.
Yeah, I mean that's what happens.
This does not go well for Rogue. Like, remember how we were just talking about that issue of Uncanny where Rogue just kicks the crap out of Wolverine, Storm, Nightcrawler, Carol Danvers? Here, Dazzler easily defeats her with the use of a classic car. It's pretty awesome.
This is not making a great case for Rogue being like a good superhero with the X-Men, which is unfortunate because this is coming out after like the stuff with Dazzler, or not Dazzler, excuse me, the stuff with Rogue going to Japan.
Yeah.
And like proving herself.
Yeah.
It's coming out at that same time. And I'm sitting there like, okay, Frank, we're done with that part of Rogue though. You missed the boat.
It's okay. I think we could look at this like chronologically as happening before that.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
but Dazzler does kick the crap out of Rogue. There's this great sequence where she turns on a private jet and emerges from the cockpit like this supernova of light and just like blasts Rogue. So she's just dragging her unconscious body back into this classic car at the end of the story. It's a lot of fun.
I like it, but I don't love it. Like, I think of all the ones we talked about this episode, this one is the worst. Here's the thing. Is there a Dazzler omnibus?
Oh, that's a
A
great
Domnibus,
question.
perhaps?
Because
I would not buy that. Because most of Solo Dazzler is not for me.
You know what? I had the opposite reaction though.
Did you really?
I agree that this is the least of the stories. However, I did find myself really enjoying getting back into the soap opera drama of what was going on in this book. I was like, "Oh, Ken's back!" Ho, you know. Like,
listen. We all love Ken.
yeah,
It's just like this is not. We read the Sisterhood arc of Dazzler at 453 right now. That this is a direct sequel to. That one's way better. I enjoyed that so much more.
Yeah, that's you said. Oh, that's down. Yeah, that's at 453.
I enjoyed Dazzler doing her prison fights more. I enjoyed Dazzler Herald of Galactus more.
I would agree. So, where are we looking on the list then?
Well, Herald of Galactus is at a noble 533, and this is worse than that.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. I feel bad putting it down here, but it because it's fun, but it's also just like kind of light. I do think it's better than the couple of is it better than the couple of issues leading into Muir Island of Uncanny?
No, the Muir Island X-Men. That's a mess, but I kind of
yeah, you're right. This isn't as good as Firestar at 543.
No, and that's a very fair comparison. I don't think this is as good as Ghostbox from Astonishing X-Men at 547, but probably on the same level as Marvel Team Up 69 and 70, where Spider-Man teams up with Havoc and Thor.
Yep, I would agree. And I think this is better than Wolverine and Jubilee at 551.
Is this better or worse than X-23 Daken Collision?
No. I think that's probably better than this.
549 it is.
Woo! Fantastic.
And folks, that was our show this week. If you liked it, I'm really happy that you did. That's all. Listen, guys, we've said it before. I would say it again. You are allowed to listen into the recorded conversations that me and Adam have now. But the podcast is for us now. There were 300 episodes that were for you. The next chunk, they're for us now. We're just having fun, loosey-goosey attitude era, fun nicknames, doing long extended bits that will only pay off in, what is this? This is 302? 14 episodes.
Stay tuned. Listen,
we've got several more Attitude Era episodes.
It's true. While we are doing the show for ourselves, we do hope you continue to listen. And if you did like this episode, head over to patreon.com/comicsxf and support Robert. Thank you for guiding us.
Everybody loves Robert.
Early Rogue stories. And
Robert always gives, listen, and I understand that Robert gets to give more suggestions than others because he is a Patreon emeritus. In that has been one of our top people for literally too long. Like, we love it, Robert, but I get it.
Always makes good choices.
What Robert always does, and people won't know this unless they extensively look at a list of who requested what, because they've been keeping this same dang spreadsheet going for several years, is that Robert says almost exclusively, hey, what's some weird early X-Men stuff you haven't covered yet somehow? And then he'll say something, and then I'll be like, what about this stupid idea off of that that's only semi-related? And he's like, yeah, that's funny. I like it. Let's go.
Love it. Love it.
Robert, never tell me if I'm wrong here. I want to keep living in this fantasy. Again, Attitude Era's for me.
It's a solid fantasy. Folks can always follow me on Instagram at adam.rec or Twitter at Arthur Stacy. Zach, what do we have planned next week? We have an interesting one next week, huh? And a guest.
You said interesting. We have a guest. I'm very excited for this one. Our friend Emily Harding just released a book, Emma of 83rd Street. I read it in under 24 hours. It's a delightful rom-com adaptation of Jane Austen's Emma. I have tried to get my very traditional Jane Austen reading aunt to get into it, and I think I did sell her a copy.
Oh, nice. That's great.
And I'm hoping to keep that going, because once I hit a certain level, I start getting some of that commish, baby. That's what I think. No, Emily and I haven't agreed on that.
No, that's not happening.
Anyway, Emily, who listeners of this podcast or longtime Comics XF readers may know as the person who compared all the Taylor Swift songs to different X-Men from folklore, which is delightful. I am not in my era's era, so I couldn't tell you what any of that stuff meant, but I found it very funny to read. Anyway, she's going to be on, and instead of Emma of 83rd Street, we're going to talk about Emma Frost of 83rd Street.
Nice.
I'm really excited for this one. It'll be a fun read. Anyway, go buy Emma of 83rd Street. We're going to say that more next week, but do it now. Here's what you guys do. Do it now. Read the book. Get caught up. Then you'll be on the same level of understanding Jane Austen references as I am, which are Mr. Darcy's a guy.
Mr. Darcy's a guy.
Not in that book.
No, but that's really
He's in
funny.
Pride and Prejudice. I know Mr. Darcy because my sister used to watch the BBC miniseries.
Yep.
And I just remember being like, oh, Mr. Darcy. And
There
I
you
was
go.
like, I'm 12. I'm not paying attention to whatever
God.
this is.
Amazing.
Anyway, delightful. Can't wait. Guys, this has been delightful too. And it's been Battle of the Out, and we hope you survived the experience.